I could be standing here without intense and intentional prayer. My wife just this morning, and thanks for introducing her. Usually I have to acknowledge her and give her all the glory, just because, 7 children is amazing. But can you guys give her a round of applause? I always say that I love to just get a video one day and just tell people that I have 7 children and just get people's reactions. I want to do that one day, before 2 years old. But, this morning I was telling her where I was coming, and before I left, she said, "Come on, let's just stop. I just want to pray with you." And, it just really captures, it just sums up, not only our relationship, the grace of God, how He's been so good to us. My oldest daughter's a sophomore at NYU. My son is going to play football at Brown next year. I have a 14-year-old daughter, 11-year-old daughter, 10-year-old daughter, 8-year-old daughter, and a 7-year-old son. I can tell you their names, middle names, their birthdays, which would probably be the most impressive thing that you guys hear from me today. But it's such a blessing. It really is. And so, my testimony is that of prayer. When my 11-year-old daughter was 10 months old, we went to the doctor, and the doctor said, I'm checking her heart, and you might want to just get a specialist. And, I was on the road and doing some things, and it was still a busy time in my life. I retired, and my wife called me, and, I didn't think too much of it, but still, that's odd that he told us to go see his heart specialist. So come to find out, at 10 months old, she had a co-articulation of her heart, which means one of her third arteries was actually missing. And I have a friend of mine who runs a media company in Atlanta who kind of does a lot of gospel and hip hop and music, and he sent out an email blast to close to 90,000 people. And I got this email of people that sent me emails that they had been praying for me. And while I was sitting in the hospital, there's this peace that just came over my wife and I. And it was just amazing that we had people literally crying, worried. We had a family that was next to us that had another young baby that had been in the hospital for 3 weeks. And we're praying over this surgery. She kind of came out okay. Now she can do sports. She's healthy. And she has to get her yearly checkup. And the doctor, every time we go back, she said, "Well, there's there's a little sound there, but she's doing great." And when you think about not only praying together, the two of us, but thinking about thousands, literally thousands of other people that acknowledge that they're praying with you that don't even know you. That's a powerful thing. So Clara, I just thought about that as you saying, it is our responsibility not to just think about prayer, but activate prayer and actually extend prayer to others that we may not even know. We mentioned physical, and I want to give you just the background of the mission that God has put on my heart, and this incredibly powerful framework and tool and way of thinking that God has given me according to my life and my testimony and my experience. Another time that I was in intense prayer was my junior year in college. My father is an incredible man. Great coach, great recruiter, great evaluator of talent. By the time I was 14 years old, I had seen and been a part of 4 Final Fours and 2 national championships while he was assistant coach at the University of Louisville. Before I even thought about playing in the NBA, I experienced and seen greatness among some of the greatest college basketball players who became great NBA basketball players. When I had a decision to play college basketball, he got a head coaching job and became the first black coach in the Southeastern Conference at the University of Tennessee. 3 years later, people have been saying, "Allan, are you gonna stay 4 years in college? Are you gonna go to the NBA?" And first of all, to think about, after 2 years of college now, then for people to think, are you going to extend your college career and go to NBA, was just amazing to me. I didn't thought about that. You know, my junior year, I'm seeing my friends enter their names into the draft, and I spent about 2 weeks in intense prayer. Now, when you think about a college that, okay, so what's so bad? If you're praying about going to NBA, it's gonna be all bad, right? But at that time, for me, that was intense because I didn't know what my future was going to be like. I had trusted that I was going to be in the NBA, but I committed my life to following in my father's footsteps and trying to be the man that he was to my mother, to my sisters, and to the community. And here I am making a decision about shortening that. So I decided to stay and play another year. God just gave me a peace. People say, "Oh man, you might get hurt. Something can happen." And the one thing I thought about was the last thing I was worried about was getting hurt. The last thing I was worried about was getting hurt. I wanted to do what God gave me a peace to do. Prayer provides peace, power, and perspective. Peace, power, and perspective. And that's what I learned in that moment. So I got drafted, went to the Detroit Pistons, spent my first 3 years with the Detroit Pistons. And God always sends people to you. You know how He have people in your life to carry you along the way. He sent a team. He always had a teammate that was an intense follower of Jesus Christ, that kind of would be there with me, speak life into me, hold me accountable. Because again, we can imagine the world, that a professional athlete lives in, the pressures, the temptations, the expectations. I got to the Detroit Pistons. He had a guy named David Wood, and this is an amazing person. Signed with the New York Knicks in 1996. Got married within the same month. My friends were like, "What are you doing? You just got married. Why are you? And you signed with the Knicks. Why are you getting married now?" It's true. I got to the Knicks, and he put two people in my life. God put two people in my life. Charlie Ward was a Heisman Trophy winner. Ended up starting at point guard for an NBA championship level team. Then he sent another cousin of mine who I hadn't spent much time with. He just happened to move to New York and go to school at Iona. And he would probe me with these questions, these deep questions, not